Growing up, I was the weakest person in the world, I thought, in my mind. And the most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. So when you think that, it becomes truth. I do believe now there's not many people on the planet who can do what I do. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for a professional sport. I don't do it for a trophy. I don't know many people who get up and get after it like I do on a daily basis for absolutely nothing. No one sees me, no one knows me, no one knows half the crap I do on a daily basis. And I don't know of anybody who would do it for nothing, just for pure fact of I'm trying to get harder and tougher mentally and physically every day of my life. This is how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be battered. I'm supposed to be bruised. I'm supposed to be beaten. This is how it's supposed to look, man. This is how, and then my mindset started slowly changing to, it's supposed to look like a flower garden, a rose garden, to, no, man. It's supposed to look like a sewer. It's supposed to be hard, man. It's supposed to be grimy. It's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be horrible. It's supposed to be really ugly. And the more my mind changed, the more I thought to myself, no, I'm supposed to fail. This is how I'm going to grow. And the more that changed, the more my reality changed, the more my mindset changed, the more my life changed. The more I started to accept the fact that I can take a lot of pain. I started looking at my life as the ultimate training ground to where I wanted to go. So I was starting to develop this indestructible toolbox along this path.
It knew I wasn't going to quit. It knew that guy was dead and buried and gone. And I was going to die out here on this while I'm out for whatever reason why. I didn't give a damn. It made no, there was no crowds. There was no trophy at the end. I wasn't even in a race in my mind. It was nothing. It wasn't about nothing. There was no nothing. It was a bunch of people who didn't know who I was. And it was me against me. And I used all these different dark places to start bringing out light and just going deeper and deeper. Ended up running the next 20 miles. I ran 101 miles. And I ran the next 20 miles, ran at about 10:30 pace. I just figured out a code. I figured out a code that many people aren't looking for. And I want it to be known. I want that feeling. This was confirmation. This was like a scientist's notes. The notes were here. The notes were all this feeling. It was a confirmation. And no one at that time could understand what I just done. I cracked the code to human potential in myself. And I was still like, oh my God, this is unbelievable what I just did. So it's that quiet place. It's that place by yourself. It's those hours and years and decades by yourself in the grip of life. When life has you by the throat and choking you out and you're sitting there calm because you're trying to figure it out. You're not panicking. You're not quitting. You're not throwing in the towel. You're saying there's a way around this. I realized at a young age how to change myself was through discipline. And the military didn't teach me that. It was something I realized I had zero discipline, zero self-discipline. And I realized I have to start developing this. And I started really because I was horrible at reading and I was horrible at writing. I have so many learning disabilities, not even funny. So I just sit down at the table and spend so much time in this, reading and writing and learning. And that kind of translated over to my self-discipline with working out. So that's where it started. I started when I was about 16 years old and said, well, I'm a 4th grade reading level. Let me go ahead now and start really focusing because I'm not gonna get in the military and I gotta pass the test. So that's where it started for me.
If you can walk on water, trust me, your haters will say, you can walk on water because you can't swim. Learn one thing, shut the noise out. Embrace the fact that people don't like you. It means you're doing something right. Stay hard, stay in fight. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. We all have dreams. I had it when I was younger. So I figured the best place to make those dreams come true are in isolation. So I walked into isolation. That stayed for guidance. But I walked out of isolation for guidance. You become a savage. It's in fight. It's just a boxing match. You don't stay outside of isolation. You go in isolation. That's when your mind changes. That's when your focus changes. Your dedication changes. Don't use this time to f up your mind. Use it to gain strength, gain focus. Isolation is the key to strengthening your mind. Come on, savage.
When you are misunderstood to the point where people think you're psycho and you're nuts and you're this and that, why are you in the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning? You just got through doing an op for 13, 14 hours. What's wrong? You will never understand what is wrong with me. And that's why I'm so glad you don't, because I'm in the right spot. When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive where people are like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it. I don't want you to get it. The woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people. Like if you're a female, well, she's skinny and she doesn't work out as hard as I do. And everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. There's a lot of them out there, but most of them are that way for one big reason. They can't see themselves doing it. They can't see themselves doing it. It's one big reason. The other reason is a lot of it is jealousy. When you set these humongous goals and they see that you're getting at it, let's say, for instance, we have a family. Let's say we're all a big family here. And every morning I'm getting up training for a 200-mile run. And you see me get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and all you are sleeping. And by the time I get done running my 30, I come home just getting up. How are you going to feel about yourself? A lot of times when you're an overachiever and you have people, a lot of our family members, a lot of our friends, they're mediocre. There's always those couple of guys who are uncommon, who want to be better. When you got somebody around you, man, who's trying to be better and you don't have the drive that they have, it's a constant reminder of how jacked up you are. You have to know that that's what it is. Anybody in your course not saying, man, get after it, brother, I'm so proud of you, they have a problem with themselves. Because all you're trying to do is achieve more. If that's a problem for somebody, you have to look at them and say, man, you really have a problem with yourself, huh? It's much deeper than what you think. It lies deep in your soul. How I was able to fix myself was I saw how ugly I was towards other people who were great. I was able to look back and say, man, you don't hate that for any reason because he's great. You're lazy. He makes you feel lazy every single day.
With success in life comes more haters. Don't make them hurt your feelings. Use them for fuel. Use them for energy. In times of need, put them on the mental Rolodex in your mind. And when you don't want to do something, roll through your brain. Pull up that person who said you couldn't do something. Weren't fast enough, good enough, smart enough. Use it for energy. Instead of killing them with kindness, torch them with success. In life, we have to continue pushing past the odds. Use everything this world has to give you for fuel. Stay hard.
It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem. The problem is you. And you don't want to fix it. And it makes me so fucking mad. Every day I walk this earth and I see average all over the fucking place. And they want to ask me, how did you do it? I can't tell you how, because you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. Most people don't want to go to that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra because it sucks. It's miserable. It's lonely. Every fucking day I wake up and I don't want to do some fucking shit. I'm like, okay, man, do you want to be a bitch today? Do you want to feel like a little bitch? Do you want to walk around all day knowing that you could, but you didn't? Man, I've trained 99% of my life alone. It gives you a lot of power when you're able to go on a podcast this big and say, hey, tell me, I'll tell you anything you want to know, because I no longer care There's a lot of power in that. To be able to put your life on a billboard for the whole world to see and say, judge it, man. Judge it. Like just me talking about it makes me feel good. And that's another thing about it. When you are willing to talk about how jacked up you are, the strength, that big rock that you carry, it just starts to come off you. It just starts to come off. That's why I do it so often. I'm like, hey man, I'll tell you anything you want to know. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of not telling you, tired of lying about how good I'm not. I learned how to control my adrenals. If you know how you get that fight or flight response when you get to move real quick.
Yeah.
And I started learning the mind a lot, how to get myself jacked extremely fast, like in a horrible environment when everybody's miserable. I learned how to really find strength in the misery. When everybody's suffering, everybody's all poopy pants and their mentality's down and everything, I started just like, my God, this is where I shine. I want to be forever proud of who I was as a man and change who I used to be. The liar, the insecure guy. I want to be proud. If I die now, I want to look at myself and say, proud of myself. It's okay to be unhappy sometimes, man. It's okay to say, you know what, man, I'm f***ed up. So you got to go to the truth first. Who are you? Get really accountable and say, okay, who am I? What's the truth about me? Get to that dark place in your mind. Figure out. It may take months. It may take years. Figure out your purpose. Figure out what you want to be in life. Things I'm trying to find more of myself. And the only way I can find more is to silence the world out as much as I can, because it's getting busier every day. It's getting faster. And the faster it gets, the more you are missing who the f*** you are. If you walk into any kind of event, whether it be physical or mental, if you walk in with already putting that block on your mind that, man, this ain't gonna happen. People go, how did you run 135 miles to death valley? How did you run 100 miles with no training? Because I went into it not thinking, I can't do this, man. I went into it with a strategy. I had an open-mindedness. So until your mind is open to the possibilities that I can do this, you would never be able to do it. Once the mind starts to believe it can be achieved, only then does it start to break down tactically how we can do this. Until then, you're going to always lose. There's always a blockade. There's a barrier in your brain. You got to find out what removes that barrier from your brain. My biggest barrier was my father. And once I removed that barrier, I was free to think. And once I felt good about myself, I was free to put action in. I never felt good about myself. I never felt good about myself. Whenever I would get somewhere, the demon would come back, pull me right back in the cage. If you don't go back, like I'm a runner, left knee hurts. A lot of people focus on that left knee. And that's about life. You got to figure out what has messed you up mentally. Go to the source. Go to the origin of the source. I was so afraid of myself that I had to figure out, I became a master of my mind. I was able to visualize the end. So when I was 297 and I was all fat and out of shape and I couldn't run a quarter mile, I visualized, man, how would it feel? So after I watched that show on Discovery Channel, for a brief moment, there was 22 guys that graduated. I watched this segment on TV about these guys going through Navy SEAL training. And I wasn't a great swimmer. I was afraid of the water, all this crap, man. And I saw these guys just quitting. But at the very end, it says 22 guys. This commanding officer's up there and he gives this great speech. I was like, man, I wonder. So I started visualizing me being the 23rd guy in these dress whites, sitting there with these guys, graduating this Navy SEAL training. I was like, God. So I put myself there. I was like, man, that's an amazing feeling. I put myself there at 297, not even able to do anything that these great men were doing. I said, man, if I could feel that would change my life. Why I no longer put people on a pedestal? Because we're all jacked up our own way. We all have demons. Some people hide them better than other people. So I know we all have them. But me knowing that, I know that most alpha males are very fragile. Very fragile. They never want to see another person harder than them. Ego is serious. So if I can hurt your ego, I got you. So by me having such a fragile ego growing up, all this was my advantage. I was doing a live autopsy on how jacked up I was. So that's where I started becoming uncommon amongst uncommon people, is where I started realizing that you put people on a pedestal that you shouldn't. That you got to get in there yourself and examine people, see what it's really about yourself. So once I got in there and realized, hey, these are just normal people. Yeah, they're a lot better than some. They're able to get through. I know a lot of people who can get through Navy SEAL training. But, you know, there's a lot of mystique behind all that stuff. And as you start to go through and you start to break it open a little bit, a lot of hard guys, but I wanted more. And I feel like I didn't fucking do something. Because you did. You didn't do it. You didn't do shit. There's no luck in this game, man. It may be a little bit of luck, but the luck happens after you bust your ass and you put yourself in that lucky situation. Luck doesn't happen. You put yourself in that situation where luck might fucking happen. And that's what people don't know. But to get there, luck ain't gonna happen. You have to put yourself in that situation, man. On all those bad days and all those days you don't want to do shit, you have to be your own motivator, your own coach, your own trainer, your own everything. So to do that, you have to come into work, and work is whatever your work may be, ready to go. And what that means is you may have failed miserably yesterday, but you come to work like, people are like, man, you just lost everything. How the hell are you just fucking damn motivated? Because this is what it takes. This is what the fuck it takes. Make up your own mission statement. What do you want to be in life? And once you do that, now you can work with somebody to get better. You can work with yourself to get better. But until you know what you want to stand for, you will always just be sitting down. You'll never stand for anything.